guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Nastasia. Today I'm talking some things birth-wise and how I had and prepared for an unmedicated home birth. If you didn't know, I posted my birth story a little bit ago, and I don't actually have footage in there really from the birth, but I explain everything in pretty great detail and just my experience with it and everything like that. And when I was pregnant and I knew I wanted to have or strive for an unmedicated birth, unmedicated home birth specifically, I really found it helpful to look at other people's videos of what they did, what they thought worked, what they thought didn't really contribute much, what they maybe didn't do that everybody talks about. So that's what I'm getting into today. Before we do that, if you end up liking this video, please give it a like. That would really help me out. And don't forget to subscribe so you can see more content from me. Another place you can see content from me is on Patreon. I will have that link down below. I have a Patreon page, which is a subscription where you can see more video content from me. I also post newsletters over there. I try to post some recipes and different fun things, and there's 3 different levels you can choose from to subscribe over there. It directly impacts and helps our family. So we thank you so much to all our patron supporters over there. You have a piece of my heart. Thank you so much. I will have that link down below. Also, really quick, wanted to shout out this brand. They did not sponsor this video, but she did send me a few pieces and I just love them. And so I want to shout her boutique from the rooftop. And this corduroy shacket is one of them. Obsessed. I have it in this kind of like mocha-y color and in a cream color. I also have a dress from her and some other things. But her website is called Rejoice Evermore, and it's a boutique. It's owned by a mom, and she is pregnant again, and she is a Christian. She's a believer. She's so sweet, you guys. Like, literally, she's amazing. I will have that link down below as well for her boutique, because fully support small Christian, mom-owned shops. I mean, I just think that's great. So, okay, that's all the things. Let's get into the video. I have my notes here, so I am getting them open. So this is obviously for anybody that's just even curious, but especially if you are trying to decide, or if you know you want an unmedicated birth, or you're just seeing what, you know, stuff helps people. Oh, that was so loud. With having an unmedicated birth, this is stuff that helps me. Of course, I'm not claiming that this is just the end all and be all. Like, different circumstances come into play. It was still incredibly difficult, and you know, there was still, I know a lot of people have pain-free births. That's amazing. I did not. There was a lot of pain involved in my birth, but it was still worth it, obviously, for me, because that was the decision I had made. But yeah, these are some things that I think also helped. So first thing, a lot of these things were leading up to birth. So like when I was pregnant, I'll give you the time frame. The first thing is chiropractor. So I have been going to the chiropractor for a few years consistently anyway, but I really wanted to make sure my entire pregnancy that I was going to the chiropractor, because I've heard just how much it helps women during their pregnancy, how much it can help with pelvic pain, and just discomfort. There's so many. For me, at least, I had a very uncomplicated pregnancy, which I'm so grateful for. But it wasn't easy. I had a lot of pelvic pain. I had I think it's SPD, symphysis pubic dysfunction. I think that's what it's called. I think I had that, like, where the pubic bone, I mean, stuff's going to separate anyway, because it's making room. The bones are separating to make room for baby. But yeah, there was a lot of pain. I had pains in, obviously, my hips and stuff. But I noticed a huge difference when I would go to the chiropractor. It helped keep that pain at bay. And so I don't even want to know how bad it would have been without getting the chiropractor care. They also say that it can help with smoother, quicker labors. I'm not sure if that contributed or not, but I did have a very smooth, very quick labor for a first-time mom. My labor from like start to finish was 8.5 hours. And that is very fast for first time. I also have a friend named Kendra. She's so great. She might be watching. Hi, Kendra. She had I think she had like a 3 or 4 hour birth. So she had it even faster, which is incredible. So I think a lot of it does have to do with just like your genetics, but at the same time, my mom, she said that with my brother, I only have one brother, he's older than me. So with my older brother, she had like, I think like a 32-hour labor or something. So if it's a genetic thing, I did not follow that pattern. I had a very quick labor, and I do think no matter what, the chiropractor helped with my pain in pregnancy. Okay, next thing, and this, I don't know, but this might be the most defining thing that helped with a quick and easier labor for me. So jot this down. And my midwives recommended this to me. And it is called gentle birth. It's a tincture. So a tincture, if you don't know, is like it's like a liquid mixed with different herbs and different things that you take like a dropper full of it or whatever under your tongue. You hold it under your tongue as long as you can, and then you swallow it with water. And I was supposed to take gentle birth tincture 3 times. Was it 3 times a day? So I think you start, but per directions, and again, this isn't obviously any kind of medical advice or anything. This is just what my midwives told me, what the tincture told me, all this stuff, is to take it, I think, starting at like 36 weeks. I think it was either 36 or 37 weeks, when you are to the point that if you had the baby at any time, it would be safe. And I think it was that I started taking it twice a day or once a day, every single day. And then once you got to like the 38-week mark, I believe it was to take it 3 times a day. So I took it every single time the way I was supposed to. I think I went through like, I should have gotten the biggest bottle. I don't know why I didn't. I got like the smaller bottle. I had to get to another one. But I went through the whole thing and followed it per the directions, and I progressed very quickly. In my labor, I woke up, I fell asleep at like 10 p.m. that night, and I woke, 10:30ish. I woke up at 1 a.m. and I went to bed with like, I mean, the most minor of minor cramps. Like I could completely ignore them. I didn't even feel anything really. And then I woke up at like 1 a.m. with very intense cramps, and I was already, I think, 3 or 4 minutes apart. So it progressed very quickly, and then from there, it still progressed very quickly. I was in transition. I was in active labor, and then I was in transition for I think like 2 hours, and then I only pushed for 30 minutes. So all of these things together, I did have a very speedy birth. My progression never like stopped ever. It was very consistent, and it was quite fast. So that being said, I do think this tincture had a lot to do with it. My midwife said, and I don't know how they know this, but I trust them, that people who have taken this tincture on average have had 5 hours faster of a birth than if they hadn't taken it. So it's something that's in there. It helps soften your cervix. I think there's like black or blue cohosh in it or something like that, and skullcap and all this stuff, these different herbs in it that you can look up. But I will always take that for every single pregnancy for the rest of my life. The next thing is, and this is probably pretty, a lot more mainstream, and is the red raspberry leaf tea. So I did take this quite a bit during my pregnancy, but the gentle birth already has red raspberry leaf in it. And so it kind of advised, you can purchase it without the red raspberry if you want to. There's like different ways you can purchase it. But I was like, I'm going to take the same way. I might as well just take it in the tincture. So some women, if they wanted to like jumpstart labor and like naturally encourage their body to go into labor, they would take that and also the red raspberry leaf tea. But sometimes then you can have longer labors or prodromal labors. So I didn't want to risk that. But all the way up until then, I did take raspberry leaf tea. I probably didn't take it as much as most people would. A lot of people I know, they take like it really consistently of like 3 cups a day and this and this. But I did like it. It may or may not have helped. So I'm just putting this out there. If you're like, whatever, I will do whatever you say that may have helped your labor. That's one of the things I did. I just got an organic one off of Amazon. And then the next thing I did, I tried to walk every single day, and I tried to walk at least a mile. It got obviously much harder as I got very, very big. I gave birth when I was 40 weeks and 5 days pregnant. based on when we think that baby was conceived. So 40 weeks and 5 days. So obviously towards the end there, it was hard. But even I think it was a day or 2 days, I think. 1 day? I don't know. But I remember, I think it was like the day before, I was still at the gym on the treadmill. It was hard to go outside and walk much because it was the middle of July in Tennessee, so it was hot. But I tried to walk at least a mile, sometimes more, because that encourages baby to get in the most optimal position and stay in the most optimal position. It encourages, progression. There's also like the mile circuit and stuff that I would have done if progression had stalled at all, but you can also do that leading up to your birth. I think that's a good thing to do. You can look up the miles circuit, and it's just like a series of different walking on a curb and different things like that to kind of shift baby into a good position and encourage your body to progress well in labor. So that's also a thing. But walking is so important. If you can do it, try to do it as much as you can. On the treadmill, outside, whatever. Outside is great because of the vitamin D, obviously, from the sun, and just the fresh air. But yeah, I mean, walking is huge and very, very important. Next thing I did was we did actually hire a doula. So for 8 months of my pregnancy, we didn't think we were going to have a doula, literally just because financial reasons, because we didn't have the room in our budget to pay out of pocket for the midwives, and also out of pocket for a doula and just everything else going on. And so we were like, okay, this doesn't seem like a necessity. So as much as I want this, I don't think we're going to make it happen. Well, I was praying, and my midwives kept encouraging me. They're like, I think you should get a doula, And I was like, well, okay. I mean, I'll have Kai, my husband, obviously. But we just can't afford it. And I was just praying, Lord, if you want me to have a doula, then make a way. If you don't, then I just trust. Like, if you don't make a way, then I trust that you and Kai are going to pull me through this labor on our own, without a doula. And if you don't know, a doula is basically, I don't want to just, they are so knowledgeable and they are so qualified. So I don't want to say that they are not, but they're basically like the emotional support. So they're not necessarily the medical support that a midwife would be. They're the emotional support and like doing techniques to help you with pain management and stuff like that. They're kind of like we can do this kind of like mental person there. And so I was praying about it, and they had recommended somebody to me and who does like more of a financial sliding scale. And I asked her what her minimum was, and we still couldn't afford it. And she was like, I understand. Let me ask if I have any friends in my community who might be open to it. I was like, sure, that'd be great. And so we prayed about it and stuff like that. And she ended up messaging or calling me back and saying like, so somebody anonymously donated for you to have me as your doula. And I was just crying. I was so grateful because it was just straight up from God. And I needed her. Oh my gosh. I actually cannot imagine. I cannot imagine doing my birth without her and Kai. I needed both of them so bad. Also, now she's like a close friend of mine, and I love her, and she's so great. And I'm just so grateful for how all of that worked out. And she's a believer, and it was amazing. But if you can do it financially, and have a doula, that's awesome, because she really, really helped me a lot, and she helped Kai a lot with helping me. Like, he wasn't just on his own. So if you can do, I'm not saying it's impossible to have an unmedicated birth or a home birth without a doula. I'm absolutely not saying that, but I really needed it, and God knew that I really needed it. Okay, so the next thing that I did, again, I'm not sure how much this helped or didn't help, but I figured I would list it. Is I went through the Christian childbirth online class. So it's the Christian hypnobirthing class, and then through that class she also gives like the tracks like you can listen to for the Christian hypnobirthing. She was having a huge sale Easter weekend, and it was like 90% off, so I got it. And so I went through that course, and I don't know how much it helped in the actual labor aspect because I didn't really think back to anything I learned in that class. But what I will say is I think it helped me in leading up to labor, because a huge thing about labor is mental. It's like 80%, 90% mental, okay? So if you're in a good mental headspace, as long as there's no complications, you can do it. However, if you are in a fearful, I can't do this, my body can't do this, I'm scared mindset, you'll tense up, everything will be more painful, it'll be much harder. So I really tried to protect my mind and what I was consuming, like mentally, leading up to labor, like the weeks, the months leading up to labor, so that I was in a good headspace and I was excited to get in labor and I could do it and all this stuff. And so in a way, I do think it helps because it was very encouraging. It was very positive. So whatever that is for you, highly encourage you to fill your mind with those things, so that you are in the best place possible mentally to tackle labor. And going off of that, another thing I did was listening to the Happy Home Birth podcast. Highly recommend. Love that podcast. I listened to it all the time when I was pregnant. So I listened to it. Did I listen to it before I was pregnant too? I don't know. But definitely almost my entire pregnancy, I listened to that podcast, and she has so many guests on. She also gives tips and stuff about home birth. This is really good even if you don't want a home birth. So I want to put that out there. Even if you just want an unmedicated birth or just some kind of a birth center birth, whatever it is, I really enjoy her podcast because it's very positive. It's positive birth stories. And that is a good place to be when you're leading up to labor and delivery. So I do recommend that. I really enjoyed her podcast. She's a very positive person and she's a believer. And so yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I did do some pelvic floor work. So when I was pregnant, almost in my second trimester, we figured out that I had hypertonic pelvic floor. I went to a pelvic floor physical therapist, and she, did, I guess you could say diagnose, I don't know, me with hypertonic pelvic floor, and gave me a series of exercises and stretches to do and stuff, because sometimes having a hypertonic pelvic floor can cause it can make progression very slow when you're in labor, or it can halt progression, or it can be hard to push, different things like that. It's not impossible, but it can be harder. And I wanted to obviously remove any obstacle that I could for making it harder than it had to be. And so I did go for a few sessions, but they were over $100 per session, and they couldn't even do any internal work. So that's really, from what I've learned and researched, a big part of what helps relieve hypertonic pelvic floor and help it heal is internal work, where they actually do stuff internally to help relieve those muscles. Well, they couldn't do that because I was pregnant. So basically I was spending over $100 just to sit there and stretch in front of them. And I was like, I'm not doing it. So I did do that a couple times. I did learn some stretches, and I did learn some different things that I could do to help relieve. I didn't even know that your pelvic floor, it also attaches to different parts of your legs and stuff. So I could massage different parts of my legs to help relieve tight muscles in my pelvic floor. So I do think it's not that didn't help. I think it did. And it taught me different breath work for relaxing. Sorry. Choked on my spit. Relaxing my pelvic floor, which is super important for pushing, and all of that is just relaxing your pelvic floor. And so I learned how to, and I learned how tense I was just always being all the time. I was just standing there tense, and that doesn't help anything. So releasing my pelvic floor and learning how to release those muscles. So I do think that helped, but that obviously was specific to me. Most women don't have hypertonic pelvic floor, but it's something to consider. And the reason I even knew that I had it, or we had an inkling, my midwife had an inkling that I might have it, was late in the first trimester. I was already experiencing what they call lightning crotch. And it's just zaps of pain that goes straight up you. And she was like, that's not really normal or common in the first trimester unless you have pelvic floor issues. So she had me go get checked out, and that's why. So next thing, super simple thing, sitting forward in chairs. So especially second trimester on, first trimester doesn't matter as much. Halfway through the second trimester, you want to be kind of sitting forward in things. You want to be leaning forward. You want to be, when you're over the kitchen table or whatever, leaning forward, because that encourages your body to put baby in the right position. And usually it reduces or eliminates back labor. That wasn't the case for me, only because little guy, little Eros, he was positioned, not breech or anything, but just in the opposite side than the optimal position is. And so during labor, he completely turned himself around to go the other way. Well, that turning during labor caused a lot of back labor. But otherwise, it would have been great. But leaning forward and just making sure you're not reclining back. You don't want to be reclining, especially like halfway through the second trimester and on, pretty much at all, because it can flip baby. It can encourage baby to not be head down. It can encourage them to be breech or side transverse lie, like the side lying transverse in your belly. So all of that, you want to really encourage that optimal positioning, because that helps with a quicker, easier labor too. Sleeping on my sides. So this is pretty explanatory, but you are not supposed to sleep on you can't sleep on your belly really. And you aren't supposed to sleep on your back either when you're pregnant, because the weight of baby presses on, I think it's like a specific, I could be wrong on this, but I think it's like a specific artery or something that you'll wake up and you'll be like you won't be able to breathe. So you want to try to sleep on your sides, and specifically your left side. I guess that is supposed to help keep baby in the most optimal position also, is sleeping predominantly on your left side. And then this other one that I was going to say is I wrote down all of my fears and I worked through them. I think a lot of people will just try to bury their fears, or they will like marinate on them so long that nothing else matters in their head. I didn't choose either of those options. So I would write down, I took literally a piece of paper or in my online planner or whatever, and I wrote down every single fear I had about some pregnancy. Mostly though, it was just labor and delivery and all that. I wrote every single one down, and then I worked through it. So the way I worked through it was praying about it. And I thought of the worst case scenario for that. So one of them for me was, I won't be able to handle the pain. Well, surrendering that to the Lord, and then also examining, why do I think I can't handle the pain? Oh, because you have a low pain tolerance. Why do you think you have a low pain tolerance? Oh, because I'm not good with handling pain. Well, how do you handle pain? And do you have coping mechanisms to handle this kind of pain? Do you have the support? And giving myself reasons to be like, this fear does not own you at all. And so I would go through these list of fears, and then there were certain fears that I just had to surrender because there's nothing I can do about it. Like, what if something happens to the baby and I can't help it and nobody can help it? Well, me being afraid of that isn't going to actually prevent it from happening. I can pray about it though. I can pray about it, and the God who holds everything in his hands he's the one who can do something about that, right? So I would surrender those things to him, and I would trust that he knows the desires of my heart. I'm giving this to him. He loves me, and I don't need to worry about this anymore because there's nothing I can do about this. So writing all those things down, I think really, really helped me get into a place where I didn't have to be afraid of what was to come, and I could just go into it calmly. A couple more things I didn't write down, but I just thought of. Get your to-do list done. So sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, sometimes women, if they are really like, why isn't this baby going into labor? Why am I not in labor? And they get stressed about that. And I've heard the midwives or whatever will be like, have you done your to-do list? And they're like, no, there's a lot left on it actually before baby comes. And they're like, get it done. Because if your brain knows that there's a lot left to do, it's tense, it's stressed, it thinks we can't have a baby yet. Get it all done. Prepare a space that you are happy with baby coming. Sorry for all the lighting, by the way. It's kind of cool though. It's like art. Put yourself in a position of success, that these things are done, these things are taken care of, baby can come at any moment, and you're chill. Because that will help you a lot mentally, and it'll help your body relax, all that jazz. Some other things that can help you, that I'm not saying I did or didn't do, but a couple of things that can help you is, oxytocin is the hormone that releases to start labor, I believe. Yeah, oxytocin. And so how do we get oxytocin? Well, we do happy things that we enjoy. you know, things that you just like make you feel happy and release those hormones. One of those things is usually being intimate with your husband. So that's an option as well, to kind of get your body in a state of relaxation. And it doesn't like necessarily induce labor. Like, it's not like it naturally induces. You will only go into labor if your body's ready to go into labor, unless you do something more extreme like castor oil or something like that. I did not do anything like that. That's an option as well, for your body to kind of be relaxed and in a state of happy labor time. Some things that I did during labor that I felt like helped me, and some things that did not help me. Oh, I should list some things that I didn't do that other people talk about all the time. Eating dates. I don't know if this would have helped or not, but I can tell you I didn't eat any dates. I literally didn't eat a single date. Everybody says it softens the cervix or something. I did not eat a single date. So there's that. I did have the evening primrose oil, like the big soft gels that you can put like a little hole in and stick up you, and it's supposed to soften your cervix. I did that a few times. I can't say if it helped or not, because honestly, I think the more effective thing was the gentle birth tincture, because it's supposed to soften your cervix anyway, and you're taking it internally 3 times a day. But I'm not saying it doesn't help. My sister-in-law, she said she did that. I can't remember if she said she like manually put them up or if she took them orally. But she said she never tore, so that's good. That's something that it's supposed to help with too, I guess, is moisturizing. I did have almost a 3rd degree tear, so maybe more primrose oil next time. But that's something that I kind of half did. Something else that I wish I would have done sooner is taken more vitamin C. So I recommend, personally, I like the Pure Synergy Radiance C vitamin C. They come in like a little pill form or just a powder you can mix with water, and it's just like whole fruits and vegetables, but it's like a crazy amount of pure vitamin C. And that can help your water bags, like, you know, when they say your water breaks, that can help your bag of waters to be a little bit more strong, I guess, tough, so that it doesn't break right away. And the reason that this can be helpful is that a lot of women say that their contractions are way less painful if their water doesn't break until like right before pushing, because their bag of waters acts as like a cushion, so it doesn't hurt as bad. That would have been great. Well, it didn't happen for me. My water broke at like noon the day before, and I had like the most mild cramping. Like it was nothing. I really didn't feel it. I had to focus to feel anything at all. But my water broke like first thing, and I was like, bummer. But I had only started taking that vitamin C like 3rd trimester, and I wish I would have taken it every single day of my whole pregnancy. Also, because it would have kept me from getting sick like the 4 times I got sick, because your immune system is so down. But that would have helped too with having a more easy unmedicated labor, I think. So that's another thing. Oh, I did also do what is it called? The inverted, it's like the inverted, I don't know. It's this position you do to help baby get into an optimal position. And basically you put your legs on a couch, like on the edge of the couch, and then you lean your body over the couch onto the ground so that you're inverted. Sorry about the lighting. The sun's going down soon. So that you're inverted, and you'll have to look this up. But basically I did that, not every single day, but I did it often enough to keep baby in a good position. And he was always head down. He never was breech or side lying or anything like that. So I do think that helped. And then during labor, honestly, what was just the most helpful for me was having Kai and my doula there and helping me with every second, but also the shower helped so much. I liked the shower way more than the tub. We did have a tub. The plan was to have the baby in the tub. Like, we rented a birthing tub. Hated that. Hated it so much. But I loved the shower. And I was in the shower for almost all of my active labor, and then transition, went to the tub. Now, in the future, I know I'm just going to probably stay in the shower the whole time. And then we actually had the baby just on the ground. I got out of the tub and had the baby. But The shower was really helpful for me. I had a massage gun that we used on my lower back and in my hips for a lot of labor. That was incredibly helpful. In active labor, worship music helped me. But once transition hit, nothing helped me. Nothing helped me. It was just really painful. But worship music did help me for a lot of active labor, kind of these different, I don't even want to say affirmations. I'm not huge into like affirmations, but truths, like repeating truths over me. Like, this is for my good. God made my body to do this. My body is capable of doing this. This pain is progress. It is not against me. Just different things like that to remind myself, like, I am not a victim to this pain. This is helping bring my baby closer to me. God is in control of this. God's got this. God's got me. Like these different things that were very affirming in scripture and how God made my body to operate. So that was really helpful for me. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, and then a couple oils. My clary sage was an oil I really liked smelling during labor. I think some lavender peppermint helps when you're nauseous. They did try to feed me some snacks. I wish I would have eaten a lot more before I went to labor, though. Honestly, that was dumb of me. Eat a big meal if you can when you know you're in early labor, but you can still eat as much as you can. Honestly, because you get so hungry and so thirsty. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else, but those are the things that really helped me. Combs did not help me, like squeezing combs, that didn't help me at all, but it might help you. I think that's all I got right now. But I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know if it was. I mean, above anything else, obviously prayer and researching. The more that I know about something, the more comfortable I'm going to feel going into it. And then I feel like I'm capable of doing it. So I researched the crap out of home birth, out of unmedicated birth, out of what most people struggle with, how to overcome it, these different things, and all the different things that, not necessarily what could or couldn't go wrong, but I just researched. There's the Ina May's Guide to Childbirth book. I never actually got that one. I ran out of time, but that one is supposed to be really, really good. There's these different kinds of books that you can read about unmedicated birth, home birth, whatever you want that can help you and give you some wisdom in that. And if you're like me and knowledge feels a little bit more like power when it comes to, I know I can do this because I researched it, I'm well equipped, I got this, God's got this, then if you're like me, it helps so much. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. I hope it was encouraging to you. If you haven't seen my birth story, it is on my channel if you'd like to watch it, where I explain everything. But I love you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.